GCUE.
The podcast you have been waiting for.
6 friends, 6 opinions, infinite laughs.
History in the making.
You don't have to open up your eyes, you can clearly see.
The number one podcast is GCUE. 20 years of brotherhood. The Q La Familia. Raw, uncut, uncensored, and unfiltered. Bubs opinionated. Why Eddie keep you laughing? Steve will get the tea while Shot tells us all what's happening. Spiritual or natural. I'm here for the thrills. And when it comes to PJ, y'all, please say the real. From quick hits, heavy lifting, the mass to the week. We getting ratings through the roof every time that we speak. PA, GA to the Aspens, turning podcasts into under-table has-beens, sports, entertainment, and current events. Sometimes we get pissed, so the crew got a vent. So when Friday night come, you know just what to do. Sit back, put up your feet, and now rocking with the Q. What's really good, people? It's another Friday. You are now rocking with the Q on the one and only GQ podcast. And as always, it's your boy Bugs. Glad to be back in the building. I'm going to send it out to the fellas for some brief introductions. We're going to go to Bub.
Hey, what's up, everyone? If it's your first time with us, welcome. If it's not your first time, welcome back. Either way, we hope you enjoy the show.
We're going to take it down to Steve.
What up, what up? You know, it's good to be here on time this week. You know what I mean? I miss y'all. So, you know what I mean? Let's get to it.
Yo, and last but not least, we're going to take it down to Mr. Suave himself. We're going to kick off the quick hits. Shard.
Yo, what's up, people? We're going to try to be a little unapologetic today, but we ain't trying to get canceled. So we're gonna play it safe, but in the Q way, which just means we're not playing it safe at all. So, you know what I mean? Just to get started, we're going to jump into this. Let's jump into John Gruden first. I mean, that might be a good way to kick it off.
Coach Gruden, obviously this is not a game question. Just one question: Can the NFL and the Raiders and the fans be sure that there are not any other racial insensitive remarks by you out there in the atmosphere that could be published by the Washington Journal or any other publication?
All I can say is I'm not a racist. I can't tell you how sick I am. I apologize again to D. Smith, but I feel good about who I am and what I've done my entire life. And I apologize for the insensitive remarks. I had I had no racial intentions with those remarks at all. But yes, they can. I'm not like that at all, but I apologize. I don't want to keep addressing it.
Just my last question: Have the NFL contacted you, and what was their response?
I have not had any contacts with them yet, but we'll see what happens here in the next few days.
Whoa.
Double whoa.
So he said he's comfortable with himself. My thing is this. This happens all the time. And the only reason I'm going to say this is because it's fresh in my mind. Is it because you got caught that you're apologetic? Or is it just the fact of you truly didn't mean racism behind what you said? That's my question.
You can't tell a black man his lips look like 2 big ass Michelin tires and say that was just you talking about them being a liar. Like that don't fly. That's just, I mean, it's some racist shit. I mean, the thing that's messed up about it is like he's not the only one. And when you dig into it, like that's the NFL, and there's multiple people coming out talking about it now, saying that like that's what they were dealing with. So the crazy thing about it is like while the racial situation was happening, he's still coaching. It's not until everything else comes out, and it's like, oh, you got to roll. So it's like you can get away with the race issue because it's always been a race issue in the NFL. There's always been either words on the field, words off the field, shit said behind the scenes. It's always been something. But it's like once you attack other communities, then it becomes serious. That's the fucked up part, as far as I'm concerned.
It's because we messed up. We called him racist when we should have called him race phobic. Because if we'd have did that, then what I mean, it's basically a fear of a black planet anyway. So if we'd have called him race phobic, then what I mean, we would have got better treatment. I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
But I think the crazy thing about that, like every other race has a phobia attached to it. So there's xenophobia, there's Islamophobia, it's everything else is phobia. There is no black phobia.
But them ain't racist though. Xenophobia is basically just being afraid of the other.
Yeah.
So that counts us.
I mean, I just think it's kind of it's more like, I think it was more or less just trying to make a statement, but it's weird because they only stumbled upon it because it was a probe into the misconduct of the Washington football team, and then he obviously alienated somebody somewhere that they wanted to make sure that his stuff got exposed and not everyone else's, because they're making sure that they don't leak out none of the other stuff, but they just expose all his information. And I just think like he really, bothers somebody somewhere that they just have to make sure that they get him, because because Bruce Allen they're starting to leak some of the things out a little bit, like with the Adam Schefter thing. It was about like he said some comments loosely about Colin Kaepernick, but like for them to just leak John Gruden's emails out and make sure that, oh, okay, so you're not gonna let him slide with the racial component. So we're gonna, rock the whole wave of what's going on right now. And I think the NFL is also playing it on the fact of like, okay, so we did the thing wrong with Colin Kaepernick, so we're gonna go this whole other extreme and act like we're super against racism, sexism, homophobia. Like we're gonna go this extreme and we'll fire coach, to try to make it look like it's more than what they really want to do, even though behind the scenes they're still all talking the same way still.
So go ahead, Buck.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, number one, I had put up a post on Facebook not too long ago after this incident came out. He's not the only owner or even coach in the NFL that feels that way. And every email is two-sided. It was sent to somebody. This man's emails were released. However, whomever he was speaking with or sending the emails to was never put out in the public, nor any other things that he emailed, these quote-unquote emails, the people that they were going to. Emails and responses weren't given back and given to the public. And I have a problem with that. I really do, because you pinpointing him. Emails aren't just put out there just to be put out there. They were sent directly to somebody or something, like an organization or something.
But that's what I was saying. Like the only reason it even got exposed, because he wasn't working for the Raiders at the time, but he was he was communicating with Bruce Allen of the Washington football team, and through that probe, they were getting probed because of the I think it was the lawsuit in regards to the like the work environment and things like that. So when they were combing through that is when they exposed his information, but that was 2011 emails and stuff like that. So now to drop it, it's ridiculous. And then but I guess it's really about him, somebody just not liking him, because like you said, they're covering everybody else's butt still, but they're exposing him, exactly. And it's more or less about him. Like they just really want to target him and get him out the way.
But I think that's the thing. Like somebody always got the tapes and they hold on to it until they need it. So it's like, what did you do for somebody to need your tapes?
Well, see, that was my second thing. I'm not going to go there and say it has anything to do with the team, but let's be clear. The Raiders got off to a hot start this year.
Very hot
I'm not saying that has nothing to do with it, but they were off to a very hot start last year or year before. They weren't hitting on nothing. When he first took over, they weren't hitting on nothing. This year, they hit the ground running. I'm just saying it's coincidental, but I don't believe in coincidence.
I don't believe it's about him. I just think that, like I said, it's just he alienated somebody somewhere higher up, and I thought that they felt that he could be expendable, and that's what it was. Because even his half-ass apology, is questionable. The way he all right, I'm not this, but I'm not going to answer it again. But when you understand that in this current climate of society that people are implicating that you're a racist, you're going to have to, talk about that a little bit more. So you can't just be, I'm not a racist, bottom line, that's it. Like, no, you're going to have different people who keep asking you about that for a while until it simmers down. And then when they asked him about, do you have anything else that's going to come out? He'll say, we'll wait and see, which obviously lets you know that there's more. And he just is waiting to be like, man, play it by ear. So
crazy shit with that. Here's a comment from Sharon from BNC this week as well.
The NFL Players Association wants all 650,000 emails released, Sharon, and this comes after Derek Carr, the Las Vegas Raiders quarterback, who had a really good relationship with John Gruden, said he did a bad thing. He likes the guy, but said he did a bad thing. He says that he feels like the NFL should open up everything. And the league doesn't want to do that because that's going to open up a whole new can of worms.
Well, they're not going to do it. Remember when Jamel Hill was here yesterday, what she said? There's no appetite. They're not going to do it because if they gave up all 650,000 emails, I'm not sure there would be anyone in ownership or upper management. Maybe I shouldn't say anyone.
Some people.
I'm not sure how many will be left. Okay, I'm not sure how many will be left. But that's not to say that some people don't talk this filth. There's a lot of people who don't go around writing homophobic things, writing racist things to company email. But, and again, this is not, for Derek Carr to say he hates the action, love the person, he knows him. I don't know John Gruden like that. I don't know him. That's fine. But this does not seem like an isolated, we're talking about a span here of a decade more. Yeah, this is not an isolated incident. This is a man who needs to do some real soul searching and get a whole rewiring here. They're not going to get the 650,000 emails, Mike. Not even in a document dump that we hear about where there's no way you can go through everything. They're not going to get the emails. And what they will get will be some follow-up nonsense, maybe a few lower-level people served up as red meat, and maybe some blacked-out, redacted content, if they even get that. NFL's capable of saying no, and I said no, and I mean it.
Real quick, before we even address that, I want to go ahead to a question we have from PJ, actually. He said, is it racist to point out physical features, even if it's true?
To call a man's physical features Michelin tires? Like, yeah.
Does DeMaurice Smith have big lips? Like, I didn't think he had big lips. Like, I think that's why it was racist. Like, he just.
The thing is, on top of it, like, we've been in this life long enough. John Gruden's older than us. And we know that there's certain things you just don't say about certain races at certain things, period. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we know this, like, if we know that in our 40s, he definitely knows it in his 50s to be saying anything about a black person and big lips. Like, that's
exactly. He knew what he was doing.
Exactly.
He knew what he was doing. It was one of those underhand jokes that you're not really supposed to catch unless you're trying to catch it. But we catch that shit. That's direct. Like, you know what I
mean? Like, that's direct. But like you said, like, don't try to.
That's what I'm saying. It's something like you throw in an email that if somebody read it, you can try to explain it away, which is what he basically tried to do. Like, I was just talking about, like, he lies, like his lips run like a tire. Like, come on, cuz that's not.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah. I was saying he lies, like his lips are like tires, and they just run on the road and they keep going.
Oh, you gotta give him credit for that one. Yeah, that was slick.
It was a nice try. That was a stretch.
I mean, well, 11 years later, that's a hell of a way. You got plenty of time to retread that. So, but
so all right, last video on this. So Mike Hill dropped in something that was interesting as well when Bub was talking about Colin.
They're not going to give up. You know why? Because of Colin Kaepernick, the whole Colin Kaepernick situation. There's a reason why they settled with Colin Kaepernick because they knew if there was going to be a lawsuit, there was going to be some digging. They were going to find
Discovery.
these emails. They were going to find this collusion and all the stuff that was going on between owners, because you think John Gruden's alone? And even though John Gruden wasn't a part of the NFL between 2011 and 2018, he worked for ESPN at the time, you think Bruce Allen is the only person that is out there? Absolutely. You think that it doesn't exist in the NFL? I told you, the NFL sports microcosm of society. This is what we do in society. You go to any Fortune 500 company around the country, you're going to find plenty of John Grudens and Bruce Allens that by themselves typing out homophobic, racist, misogynist things and thinking that they're alone. They'll never be caught because they feel like it's in private. We know that. We know it exists, Sharon, because guess what? 74 million people, and I'm not saying all of them are like that, but 74 million people supported a man who is just like everything that John Gruden put into his emails. But we know that there are neighbors, right? Some of these same people that you loved and you respected for so many years, and then all of a sudden you look at them like, I didn't know you felt that way, because they were saying it behind closed doors in emails that they didn't think would ever be discovered.
Completely agree.
Absolutely.
I completely agree. 100%. Completely agree.
I don't know. I
He's the only one that got caught.
I feel like anybody that says I don't got a racist going on my body is a racist. I don't trust that. That's me.
Why?
Because I feel like if you have to make that statement, you're trying to prove that you're not a racist. And if you have to try to prove it, that means you've done something that makes somebody think that you're a racist. So if you haven't done anything that makes you be portrayed as a racist, there's no reason to try to explain away being a racist. You did something wrong. That's like I love black people. My daughter's boyfriend is black.
Word.
Okay.
So, touchy subject. We'll see what the future holds on that, though, because I think it's more to come.
I think if
some
emails come out, they're not going to come out. Like, again, they can't. There's no way. You won't have an NFL.
Well, they have mentioned that, like, with the Adam Schefter emails, there was an ESPN personality who stated, like, with the Colin Kaepernick thing, that, you know, he called him the F word and referred to him as he should get cut. But I'm just waiting to see if they actually release that ESPN personality who actually said it, that was on those emails. That's what I'm interested in knowing too, because you've heard a lot of the people, especially the black people who were on ESPN, speak of how racist it was there for real and how they would hold them to a different standard. Like, they only felt like the only black person that could be truly himself when he was there was Stuart Scott. And, you know, and we know he got backlash initially. So it'll be interesting to see who this was that was, you know, saying these things about him getting cut, things like that.
Shameless plug. There's a Mike Hill interview coming up in the magazine next week where we talk about the racism at ESPN. Shameless plug ended.
So you took my take and you just go try to plug your magazine. What's your magazine's name again?
My magazine name is Suave. You know what I mean?
And how do the people find your magazine?
Oh, it's www.suave.com. I thought you knew that, bub. I'm sorry I had to repeat that again. www.suave.com. SUAVV. No,
hey, say that one more time so I can write it down.
Oh, www.suave.com. SUAVV. Y'all can find it. I'll change my name to Suave.
What we got next?
Nah, it's a dope interview. Now we about to add on to this situation in cancel culture. I think everybody in the squad saw the Dave Chappell special and all the heat that he's been catching recently. A lot of people were standing up for him. There was the chick at Netflix that tried to start the rebellion and say that they should have a walkout until Netflix cancels Dave Chappell's special, takes it back off the network. And Netflix nicely terminated that ass, and she no longer works for the company. But it's brought up a conversation of is comedy and the viewers of comedy, are they too sensitive to what comedy is? And especially when it comes to the LGBTQ plus community, like, is that community just too sensitive to being about?
Get busy,
Well,
Bugs. I see that head nod. I see that head nod. Get busy.
I'm gonna be unapologetic. Hopefully, we still be on the air next week. But look, I'm gonna just call it. It is what it is. I think there is a lighter form. I'm not gonna say lighter form. There's a form of sensitivity there, because since the beginning of time, comedians talk about black people, white people, Hispanic people, old people, young people. But then you talk about this one certain kind of group, and it's always backlash or backfire. No matter who talks about them, it's always backlash or backfire. I love everybody. I have nothing against anybody. But at the same token, it's like you want to be accepted, but you don't want to be accepted on your term. You only want to be accepted on your terms. Like certain things we approve or deem to be okay, then that can fly. The other things that we deem not to be okay, if one voice speaks out about it, we're going to follow because we stand together in this community. And that's how I feel it is every time something comes out. And I just wanted to plug, because I actually did read something that the CEO of Netflix had put out. He wanted to make it clear that the young lady who did have the issue, she wasn't fired because of what she said. She came in one of she came in one of their meetings, their executive meetings, rather, her and two other co-workers that were of the same, family. And not family, but you know what I mean, that community, rather, excuse me, that community, and they interrupted the executive meeting and refused to, leave or whatever have you. So that's why she was fully terminated. It wasn't the fact what she said.
She was
but
it was terminated because she leaked the information. She leaked out how much
she was going to.
She did.
She ended up leaking it out.
She leaked out the special,
not
for the Sticks and Stones, that budget for that. She leaked that already, and that's when, and she was organizing the
walkout.
The walkout. So that's why they terminated her, because they had knowledge of her doing all that.
Now here's the fucked up part. She tried to throw a racial component in there and say they did it because I'm black, because the white people who were stating their feelings about it, they didn't get fired. But your black ass went in there and did a whole lot more than what the white people was doing.
I was saying. That other stuff
it ain't a race thing. Everything ain't racial. You fucked up. You overstepped the boundary.
Yeah, because you're right. That did come out, but that came out after the fact. She refused to basically, I guess, in a manner of speaking, digress, so to say.
Yeah, I mean, I find it all like it just shows the pattern, and it shows again why black people always fuss and complain, but people try to tell us because they know we're right. Because no matter what, like I said, like just going back to what John Gruden said and what Chappelle was saying in the show, is that they're so used to kicking us while we're down or making fun of us or expecting us just to take an apology that, when somebody else is spoken on, they want complete outrage. They go left with it. That's the same thing with like the Trump riots, everything. But for us, when it comes to us, we're supposed to be cool with just accepting an apology. And it's just weird because this group has come along and got more rights quicker than a lot of groups, but like you said, they just overly sensitive to the point where it's like now you're starting to overshadow like what the true meaning of like being inclusive is. And it's starting to get nerve-wracking. I think now it's starting to take its effect with people like, this is why you didn't want to be bothered with you. Like, you're not saying that because you accept people for who they are, but then like now you're not even allowing people to be who they are. You just want us to accept everything about you your way, like you were saying, Bugs, at your way. God, I lost my thought.
No, you good. I'm gonna jump in for you. So here's the thing. I watched it 3 times because I wanted to make sure I didn't miss something. So I watched it 3 times. I don't think anything that he said was offensive. I think everything that he said had a political statement behind it, and everything was questioning society. It was nothing that was attacking anyone. It was nothing that was demeaning to anyone specifically. somebody brought up like the bathroom comment, and I was like, he's basically saying he was the one that would have said use the bathroom that you was birthed to, until it makes sense when that person that's birthed to that bathroom comes in the bathroom with you. It makes sense. So you make a way to laugh about it, but it's like really take into consideration what you would think if that were to happen. How would you deal with it? So I think that the conversations that he was having are thought provoking, and they need to be conversations, and it needs to happen. But you can't get mad every time somebody says anything that you find is offensive without listening to the actual show. So a lot of people, even on Instagram and on Twitter and Facebook, they're commenting, and people are like, "Did you watch it?" Nah, I didn't watch it. I don't got no reason to watch it. So how are you commenting on something you didn't see? Like, how are you jumping into a conversation that you didn't hear? You gotta take both sides of it and find out what's being said. And there's a very big point in his show where he explains, I'm not transphobic. Like, and then he explains what he's been saying and how he's been saying it, why he's been saying it. And I think the biggest point that he made is that when Bruce Jenner decided to be Caitlyn Jenner, it was accepted, but Muhammad Ali couldn't change his name. So it's things like that. It's a conversation that needs to happen. And then the racism that's inside the community is also something that's not talked about, because they don't want to talk about racism inside of the gay community as well. So I think it's the special that needs to be watched, because there's conversations within that special that need to be had. That's my take on it.
Well, I commend Netflix, number one. Let me say that. I want to plug Netflix for not pulling it down. That's number one. But that statement you just made goes exactly back to what I was saying earlier. It doesn't matter what it is, I found, and this is just from what I observed. Whenever someone from that community speaks out, they're automatically backed. Like you just said, people speaking on the special, but they've never seen the special.
Yeah.
So they're going off of the value of word or what they heard.
Well, it's the wave too, like, you know what I mean? Because like I said, the progress now is, you know what I mean, sticking up for gay rights and, that community's rights. So then, like you said, like the Gruden emails and the Chappelle thing, but it's like, oh, okay, well, we can't get this one really pulled away, because like you said, nothing was truly offensive. Like what he did was, which was masterful about it, was he just made general comparisons and showed you. And where they're disputing, like you said, like people were going off of just clickbait and hearsay without really listening to how he's putting it. And then that's the thing that we as Black people tend to always try to say, like, this is the reason why we're always complaining, because they say like Black people complain too much, Black people this and that, because this is what happens. Like we started with the Black Lives Matter movement and now it's here with this. We started the Me Too movement, now it's this, and everybody else hops on our back and gets further along quicker than us. And then we still have, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that. I was talking about his mouth running. Like, come on, man. Like, now you're insulting our intelligence. And it's like you telling us stuff to our face, acting like we can't see or hear what you're trying to do to us. And we've been seeing it over and over, so we get tired of it. And that's why we just continuously, but the only thing is you can just continue to fight and state your point over and over again, but it gets frustrating and tiring. So
I think the problem is, like, nobody's afraid of the Black community's response, because we don't put our money where our protest is. We don't say, you know what, we're not even supporting anything about this. It lasts for maybe a week, and then it's like you right back again. So somebody could say something slick, but if that Chick-fil-A sandwich come out, we're gonna be at Chick-fil-A getting food. We don't stop long enough to make somebody feel the pain of doing us wrong. You can't talk about the Jewish community and get away with it. They'll shut your shit down. Like you attack women, the feminist community and coalition jumps up and says something. You attack Christianity, like you have everyone will get together and do something. You say something about Black people, you kill Black people, have racist situations. We get upset for a week, and then it's back to whatever happened on Instagram yesterday. So we don't have that voice at a table, or even the resilience of a protest to actually make somebody be held accountable for what they do. And then when we do, it's like we take that one win and then we walk the hell away. It's like, all right, we cool. He went to jail. Who's playing tomorrow? So
I mean,
I think we gotta do a
it's
better
been
job.
a long fight for us, like no other. Like, you know what I mean? And like, um, it is hard to get us to focus because, like you said, like our mindset is separate about a lot of things. There's a lot of money involved and ideas of money that have people questioning their character, which puts in the, you know, the true reason why we can't stay dedicated. Like I think back then when there wasn't as much, it was easier to forge together. You know, it's like now, like I said, we're doing a podcast. Me and Steve are in the same city. Y'all two are in a different type of area, you know, and it can just it's a lot, man. Like, but that's ultimately what we need to do is get together. Like ultimately, like it's just hard, man. Like to get us on the same page.
I get frustrated. Like you say, you got Black Lives Matter, you got National Action Network, you have NAACP, you have Southern Christian Leadership Council, you have Trayvon Martin's family's organization, you have Michael Brown's family organization. It's like instead of making 7,000 organizations, pull that shit together and then stand up together. And it's like you got to fight all of us if you fuck with that person. And that's not what's happening. So it's like if you mess with, again, somebody in the Jewish community, you have to fight the Jewish community. You have to fight their banks. You got to fight their businesses. You got to fight the realtors. You got to fight basically New York City. It's like you have to fight against the entire community. With us, it's like you fight maybe 500 people. There might be a riot in Ferguson, but then, you know what I mean, Baltimore's cool, New York's cool, Philly's cool, Atlanta's cool, Charlotte's cool, LA's cool. So we'll deal with that one spot. We'll deal with that small incident. So we'll say, oh, we put charges up, but we're gonna let them off. Like that's what we get.
Real quick, the real PJ chimed in real quick. He said we don't have power behind us like the non-blacks. Every other group that was mentioned does, like the Jewish community. You know, like you said, like you saying fight the banks and things like that. Like you said, like, but people have these ideas. But how do we really get us to really invest in these things?
Even when you say the banks, there was a push for like the last 2 years, and black banks opened up, and it was like bank black. Find a black bank, put your money in a black bank to help fund the black community. Everybody was like, nah, my shit's good at Bank of America. I'm cool. Like I don't know, y'all. I'm not taking my shit out of Chase and putting it over there. And Chase of all places is like, Chase is still running off of slave money and funded with slave money, and people still have Chase bank accounts black as hell and don't pay attention to it. So it's just we don't go that extra step. And even that was the argument with Terry Crews and Black Lives Matter. And he was like, how can you try to make this organization move, but you won't let anybody outside of the black community into your program to help you do it? And they bashed the shit out of him on social media and canceled him.
Well, that ain't he's not a good example for me.
Yeah, he did plenty of bullshit.
Yeah,
but not that's what happened when that happened on the CNN interview with him and Don Lemon. Like that was the conversation. Don took that shit left field and ran with it.
But Terry put himself out there a long time ago with some other coonery shit too. Like, you know, and I get it. Shameless plug part 2. I interviewed him and everything.
I never interviewed Terry Crews.
You know what I mean? All right, but check this out. He done a lot of goofy stuff, man. So like he's not a good example. So you know, like
it's the message. It's not who the message come from. It's the message. Like you have to be inclusive. Like civil rights happened because white people jumped in. Black people was getting their ass whooped until white people got in there.
Because part of the boycott, the bus boycott. I mean, white people did help
a lot.
But it's still. I mean, come on, man. Like but you discrediting the unity of the black people that was in sync.
Nah, I'm not discrediting it. I'm saying the real effects came in Edmund Pettus Bridge because you had Jewish priests, you had white preachers come down there, you had white coalitions getting involved. So then it's like now you got to beat up black people and white people. We're gonna let y'all go this time, and now we'll make some changes.
No, they killed the freedom fighters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How many people was that? But how many people was that?
How many was black? It was 3 of them, but only one of them was black.
One was black. The other two, it was a Jewish person.
Was Jewish.
Right.
Jewish dudes.
That's the plan.
But my thing is this though. Again, the issue isn't that we not knowing now at this point. It's just a matter of getting people on that page. like on the same page. But you have so many distractions, so many different thoughts, or like you said, are just keeping us stimulated enough to understand that it's going to take a long, consistent battle and getting people to trust. You can't trust like money and stuff. Is that like, I mean, things is different, man. So
Yeah, there's that. It's gonna be a while.
But he killed the show. I'm glad it's still on. I'll probably watch it after I watch You season 3 tonight. So
the show was the show's epic, and I think everybody should watch before making comments on how they feel about it. So if you haven't seen it, shut the hell up.
Most
definitely.
Moving on to heavy lifting.
Let's
Yeah.
go. Let's go.
It's lift time, baby.
Is it on me?
It's on you.
All right. So heavy lifting for today is about outgrowing your crew. Can you, at some point in your life, outgrow your circle? Is it possible? And when it is possible, like, how do you deal with that? Who wants to go first?
Well, you see, we missing 2 members. They outgrew their circle. That's the way it works.
That's horrible.
It's life, baby.
Yeah, we do want to shout out Eddie and the real PJ.
Please say the real.
I ain't saying the real and he missing. It's just PJ.
I mean, outgrowing your circle. I mean, I think life requires growth. So to say outgrowing your circle, depending on, I mean, yeah, you just have to grow. Period. You outgrow everybody for a moment, like, because you're discovering yourself more, and sometimes it takes you away from friends, that you had at certain places. Like we all got friends we grew up with that we lived around because our circumstances had us around these friends. Then when you go to school, you have different friends you might hang with. You have friends that you might have hung around initially because your parents were friends. So you kind of outgrow people that fit more to your personality and where you're at. So yeah, you can outgrow your circle.
Books?
I'm gonna say, well, first I'm gonna say the definition of a friend. I'm speaking on true friends when I say I don't feel you outgrow your true friends, because you may have some that say they're your friend or be in your circle because you serve a purpose to what they need, or they can gain something from you, so to speak. So I feel like, of course, those people you can outgrow, like, especially number one, if someone always has their hand out or they're always taking, but they're never giving or never reciprocating what it is that's done for them. That's not a true friend. So you outgrow people like that. Like, that's growth. Or if you can have 2 people that come up through the ranks since kindergarten, 1st grade, one decides, okay, I want to be a lawyer. The other one says, I want to be a drug dealer. Eventually, you're going to bump heads.
Nah, just to get the lawyer to get you out of jail.
You could, but you could.
That's a retainer.
You could. But what I'm saying is, if it's different paths, some people choose, and I have a problem with that. Some people choose to separate themselves from friends because they're in a different status or situation than what they were during the friendship. And that bothers me. If somebody becomes better, it's supposed to be, okay, then we all become better. Not just me being better, I'll come back and visit. I may take you out, to eat when I'm in town, or, we go to a game or something, but I don't want you to be on the same level as me. That's a problem. That is a problem.
So are you saying about a handout though? Because like you said, like me going, and I'm just asking in general, because what your statement was that you said, like outgrowing and you should bring your friends along. But what about if your friend doesn't have the same ideology to come along to where you're trying to come to, or that's not what they really into? They want to stay in a different place. And then how do you differentiate if it's sincere, if it's not sincere? Because you do outgrow people, like just like I said, because like you said, if I want to be a lawyer, but you want to be in the streets, I got to go to school, and I'm going to go to school at a different location. So I'm going to be around like-minded people during those times where it's going to draw me to a different experience. So I'm not necessarily looking back, and I'm gonna come back. But if I have business set up over here for me to get to ultimately where my goal is, and I'm over this way, I'm only gonna have time while I'm trying to get to this goal to come back every once in a while, unless my goal was to come back and like save my hood or something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah. Well, look, just the first thing you said. When I say handout, I think like this. It's like, okay, y'all may go out to eat. The fellas may go to a sports bar, may do this, may do that. Or every time it's always I need, or I'm giving, or I need, or they come around just when they know you're about to do something. Like you're about to eat dinner, so they know when to just come around because you're about to eat dinner. You know what I'm saying? Now it's the difference between
Talk about a
relationship.
moocher.
Now that's expected. Exactly. That's the best word for it right there.
Yeah.
That's the best word for it. Eventually that gets old. That gets tired.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Now, if it's somebody you looking out for because they got a situation or they got a bad case or they got some things going on, of course you're going to look out for your homie because that's the expectancy. You know what I mean? But I'm talking about somebody that tries to take advantage of you, but yet they under that circle as a friend.
Yeah.
Or under that label as a friend, rather.
what's your thoughts, Steve?
I don't really know. I'm trying to think. Like, I feel like your circle, like, I mean, like
It's
your
like your tight
circle,
friends, right? Like,
like, yeah, like your circle, like, I mean, circles can change. Like I had a different circle in Ohio than I have here. But I mean, but at the same time, I don't feel like while I was in Ohio, I lost my PA circle. Like, I just feel like sometimes circumstances do cause you to be in different environments. But I don't really I feel like if you outgrow your circle without trying to push your circle in the same direction, that's more of a you issue than a your circle issue. Like I can't really think of. I mean, if you could try, like, yo, I'm gonna try to take, like, if you feel like you're outgrowing your circle, but you don't take that circle with you, or at least try to, like, you could try to, and they decide like, nah, that's not the direction I want to go. That's one thing. But like to just be like, you know what, I just outgrew them. Like, like that's a you issue. Like, but at the same time, I can't fault nobody for it. You gotta do what you feel is best for yourself.
Mhm.
But I don't really, I don't know. I don't. I mean, you can, like, friendships end, like it's part of life. But I don't really see, like, yeah, like somebody who says they outgrew their circle. I'm more concerned with them than the circle that they outgrew. Like, why'd you do that?
see, and that's the thing that I think is key that you brought up as far as defining the circle, and just not the level. Because like when I made my general statement, like you said, you have circle of friends, like you said, of high school, and I keep in contact with like a lot of them. But like you said, like you go in different places because life has you in different places, and you may communicate with them less and less. But like you said, when you get together, because life takes you in different places. But like you said, you don't necessarily fall out. But then like some people, like you say, you just not lose them, but you just, like you said, they just in a space and you lose touch because life takes place. Like they have kids, family, and they may live in a whole different state. Like you may see them on Facebook, they may say happy birthday, but or they may say, hey, how's such and such doing? But you don't communicate the way you used to, and like you just kind of deal with the memories, but you're not necessarily out. You didn't outgrow them. You just
Right.
life just took place. Yeah, I get that. Like,
I think for me, I think I have multiple circles. And I think that's what just has worked for me. There's like certain conversations that I have within certain circles and certain conversations I just don't have within other circles. And I think that is just something that I grew into from different situations. I feel like I think as you grow, like certain things are going to be foreign to certain people and then they're going to be familiar to others. So it's like typically if I go to somebody for advice, I want to go to somebody that's been through what I'm asking for advice for. Because if I'm asking for advice, that means I'm about to make a decision. I need to make the right decision based off of someone who knows what that decision could do to impact my life. So it's like I have trust in different areas. I don't think I necessarily outgrow people. I can outgrow circumstances. Um, I think your friends are your friends, and all your friends aren't going to be the same. Like I think it's different. I think there's certain, I think that's like friend circles that are just going to clash with other circles. So I keep circles separate. That's just me. I do that for my own sanity.
See, I think my circles can pretty much coexist with all my circles because I think that's the type of person I am. Like I'm not too, you know what I mean? Like, but
No, because I got like I have friends that are like extremely laid back, like extremely. Then I got friends who are fucking insane, and I would never put those two people in the same room. Like it's just I wouldn't do that to make one person uncomfortable with the other person being uncomfortable. You know what I mean? It's like if you got one person's like you're doing too much, and you got the others like you're stuck up as fuck, but like you're cool with both people for those separate reasons because sometimes you need to just chill the hell out. And like some people might be great for advice, and then somebody else might be cool as hell to chill with, but your advice fucking sucks, and you're gonna get me put in jail. So it's just you have to know like who to go to with certain things and certain conversations. I think it's a balance for me, and I think maybe it just comes with bouncing around so much that I had to create those separate circles anyway, and that just kind of helped that happen. Maybe that's the reason why. Never thought about that.
never thought about what. That's the
Because
reason why
like
you bounce around.
nah, I bounced around so much that I have circles in different states and different cities that I lived in. So I have like circles of friends that are in different pockets of different areas. And while the overall mentalities may be around the same, it's like if you have a circle of like LA, the circle is majority like people in the entertainment industry. Like it's you're doing something in entertainment. In New York, it was you're doing something probably like just career wise. In Atlanta, it's you're more than likely doing something entrepreneurial. So it's like I can't talk to my entertainment friends about entrepreneur type things because they don't necessarily understand. But in the same breath, I can't talk to the entrepreneur circle about entertainment circles because the entrepreneur circle is like everything has to balance back out the money. Where's the revenue? Whereas the entertainment side is like, this is my passion. So it's those two circles won't understand each other because if you're doing something business wise, you may hate it, but you're making great money, so you're going to keep doing it. Whereas entertainer wise, if they love what they're doing, they don't care how much money's coming in. They love the process of what they're doing. So for the other side, it doesn't make sense.
Point taken. We got a comment coming in from Ellie Richardson. It says, Bob,
because
says, Bob, that was a good example for my situation, i.e., leaving home at 17 for the military. But I don't feel like I've outgrown my hometown friends. When I came home, we talked like I never left. But I would say that I have several circles of friends and can't. They're all different, but equally important.
Right.
Exactly. And I can relate to that myself because I mean, it was a point to where I was like my pastor's assistant. I was an assistant pastor. Now, of course, you have your church friends or your church circle. You got your work circle. You got your friends that you came through the ranks with. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of different circles. But my question that I want to point to ponder right quick is, what do you do? Or if the situation arises and you feel like you're being held back by those closest to you in your circle.
Can you break down held back? Because I seen this when the topic came up. But when you say being held back, like what do y'all mean? I need y'all to open that up some more and elaborate a little bit more on how's your circle holding you back. It's like are they sitting there saying, nah, you can't be smart. You got to be dumb like us. Like you're kind of too old for that. Like like
I have an example. I'm gonna let Shy go first. I have an example though, but I'm gonna let Shy go first.
Nah,
know he has something.
I think when you say like, can your circle hold you back? It's like say Bub, you came to me and was like, yo, I wanna become an Indy 500 car racer. And I'm like, yeah, that's stupid as fuck. You can't even drive on a regular street. You ain't never gonna make it. Like that's a holdback. Whereas it may be us joking, but you might take that and be like, you might internalize it at that point, and then it's damn. Every time I say something, somebody got to shoot me down. Or every time I present something, I get shot down. Like that can be a holdback. Or say you in school, like for instance, when I was in Harrisburg and I was going to hack, right? It was like Bub, for instance, if we were getting ready to do something, like your question was always, do you got class tonight? And if I said, yeah, you'd be like, well, nah, go to class. And then when you get done, we'll go do whatever. Like if you were on the opposite side and was like, yo, fuck that class. Let's just run over to the mall. That's a whole
exactly.
Because you see somebody trying to do something, but you're stopping them and prohibiting them.
Yo, don't tell people I'm positive in real life. You know what I mean?
Nah, you're positive. You're a positive, sensitive, soft-hearted person.
Opinionated mother.
Yo. I mean, it's just priority. Like you always want to see your friends win because ultimately your friends are people you love that are family that are your family that you choose. You know what I'm saying? Like your blood family is given to you by God, but your friends are people that you choose by your love. You know what I mean? And that's what you keep close to you. So you always want to see them and their families in a positive place. But
that's the case. You would like to think that, though. I was about to say you would like to think that that's the case, but it doesn't always happen like that.
Yeah, there's people
because it gets to the point to where. Well, go ahead, Sean.
I'm saying there's people that's like, you don't need that. Like, you don't need a bigger house. Like, you don't need a newer car. You don't need to like, you know what I mean, put that money over here. You don't like if I was to go to Steve and be like, yo, you don't need to be like investing money nowhere. Like, just hold on to that. You good where you at. Like that's a whole back.
But is
you know
it
what I mean?
Because sometimes you need a friend, you need a YOLO friend. Like, you know what I mean? You need that friend who's like, yo, fuck it. You can't, you know what I mean? You can't take it with you, spend that money just as much as you need the friend who's like, yo, you don't need another pair of sneakers. Like, you need both of them. Like, you know what I mean?
So I need the one that said fuck it to make sure that when my cell phone bill comes through, you about to help me out with that.
It got to be balanced, my brother. It got to be balanced.
No, because I mean, there's still some things that like are on you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you still gotta be the ultimate decision maker, but you definitely need both elements.
Yeah,
because you can be wound too tight, and then you need that person that can just come through. Like, yo, that's what you need. As long as you don't start binging the whole other way, you know what I mean? But like you said, that's on your own will as well, because like you said, you got free will. So somebody can tell you something, but as a grown man, we start doing things like that, then there's something deeper wrong with you than just somebody being able to tell you what to do. Like, so
yeah.
What was your example, Bugs? You said you had one of like a friend holding you back.
My example was you. Like if somebody came to you, your homeboy came to you and was like, yo, we should start a podcast. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was like, nah, we shouldn't start no podcast. You was like,
hold on. Everybody
later on,
nah.
we should be as an example. Come back. You like, I want to be a rap group. Nah, we ain't gonna be no rap group. Then you come back. Let's start a team. See what I'm saying? Because you know I'm talking about him.
You say he on this rap group shit again. I'm out.
Nah. Seriously. But seriously, if you get to the point where you keep bringing ideas and you get frustrated and you get tired of being told, you're like, you know what? Forget them, man. I'm trying to do things. I'm trying to move in a different direction. They don't want to move it. So I feel like they holding me back. It's happened. I mean,
and do you go to a different circle who fits more what you're trying to do?
Like well, in some cases, yeah. That's truly what ends up happening majority of the time.
I think that's fair. I think that's very fair.
I think it's a cluster of them all. Like Steve said, I do think you need friends to balance you out. because the reason most of your friends, like if you have all completely like-minded friends, you're just, you know what I mean? Like you're not thinking outside. You don't have any.
It's an echo chamber.
Yeah, it's just weird, man. Like you have to have a balance. Like us as a collective, all 6 of us have so many different personalities. It can be, it's very intense because of some people's personalities. It can be very humorous because of some people's personalities. You know, like it's just so many different personalities, but it balances us out. And I think that's the key to life, though. You know, having balance. You can't do anything in excess. So, you know, like nothing in excess is good for you. You know, like so with your friends, I think you got to have a balance as well as being able to know when, like, all right, so this motherfucker, I ain't gonna talk to him about it. Like Shad was saying, I'm gonna talk to him about it and see like if what he says. And if he says this, but if he gives me a response that sounds similar to this one, then maybe this might not be the issue, or I might be able to talk to somebody else different about it. I think there's all types of angles with friendships. That's why they're like very personal to the person.
My thing is, if you tell me no, I didn't explain it right because I need a yes. Like, like something I said was wrong. Like, I need to re-explain this again because no doesn't work for me. So let's start back from the beginning. Let's just run this back through. Like, I don't know. I think that for me, I'm such a free spirited person that it's very hard for me to feel restricted. And that's like, you know, friendships, relationships, work, anything. Like if I got a job and I don't like it, I'm quitting. And I'll have somebody say, yo, you don't need to quit. Nah, I need to quit. Because if I don't quit, I'm gonna cut somebody out. I'm gonna get fired. Now I need to get fired. So it's I have to have that space for myself. So I don't think I've ever had anybody business people try to hold me back before. Yeah, take that back.
So you ain't never have a friend that said, fuck that, quit this job. And you was like, no, that's a bad friend.
I absolutely had friends that was like, fuck that job. But even like recently when I was deciding to like quit and then like run the magazine full time, I had people that were like, are you sure? Like, I don't think you should do that. I think you need to like chill out and stay there. But I know if I'm not happy somewhere, it's going to affect the rest of my life. So I took opinions, made a decision, and ran with it. And that's ultimately what I'm going to do. So in those situations, I'll go to different people in different circles and like ask opinions or thoughts. But me asking for an opinion is not me asking you to make my decision. I'm still going to make my own decision in the long run. So I think, again, that's where Steve says it comes to balance. I got a whole lot of fuck that job people in my life. And, you know what I mean? But then I got other people who are very dependent on security. So it's like, you need to have some kind of security before you make any kind of decision, or you need to just make sure that you stay in those kind of situations. But it's just a matter of balancing those friendships out. So I don't think anyone can hold you back unless you allow people to hold you back.
Exactly.
People can try, but for me, it's not going to work out too well.
Now we got a comment coming from Micah Davenport.
No, we call him Bond. He don't get the
I'm gonna plug Bond. Like Steve said, you need that balance within your friends' family. Before I lock in on any business move, I have 3 people that I bounce my ideas off of. And if all 3 give me the same answer, I know my idea is good. But getting Shad to agree is not easy. Don't we know it?
Hell no.
Don't we know it?
Hell no.
Don't we know it? But I mean, it could become circumstances like I've seen it on both ends. I've seen it to where people get in a better position in life and then they come back to town and then the people they used to hang with or roll with, it's like they don't even look them up no more because they feel like, you know, they're better than them. But at the same time, I've seen it to where people have been elevated, you know, millionaires. And the same people that they are is no different. The relationship, and this is testimony out their own mouth, the relationship never changed. Relationship never changed the whole time. So I go back to, I'm going to say it's about the person and the people that you with and the circumstance, the situation.
Nah, and I think that goes back to Steve. Like if somebody come back and think that they're better than everybody else, that's a them problem. Like
exactly. The person.
That ain't on the circle. That's on that person, which means that
That
person was never
person.
comfortable in that circle in the first place.
Now,
let's go. Hold up,
hold
though.
on, right?
Go ahead. No,
Go ahead.
go ahead, because your thoughts go.
Nah, I just wanted to say this because I know I might, it might lead me. But at the same time, it's like if you come up and you like, okay, I'm smoking, we smoking, this is a group, we all smoke together every day. This time, this is what we do. We smoke, we go get something to eat.
I'm a Christian.
Man, listen.
I'm a Christian.
Now the thing of it is this though. If one of us wants to change and I say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna go to school, I'm gonna be something like an EMT or something. So I go to school, I'm an EMT. Now I'm in class with different people. These people invite me out. So I'm not sitting on the stoop smoking no more. You see what I'm saying? I'm not sitting over there going to the spots we used to go to at the times we used to go to because I got other things on my mind right now. Now, if I come back and the only thing you want to do is keep smoking and smoking and smoking and sitting on the curb, why don't you come to school? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you do this? Then eventually, I feel that relationship on that example, eventually either they're going to come to a man's and a compromise or you just going to part ways, chief. Because in all actuality, I ain't going to say outgrew, but it's definitely a difference. One outgrew the other.
They don't want to go to school. Don't you smoke crack, Sam's? Like,
you know what?
I mean, but
you don't want school. Just smoke crack, don't you?
Let's make this a little more interesting, though. This is where I want to go.
Let's go.
Did we outgrow each other before we came back and formed? Like, were we in the same spot? Like, this is where we go. Like, let's go with it. Like, because initially, like we said, circumstances for everybody to be on this show. That's why we're going to talk about it. But, like life happens. So that's really what's going on right now. But did we outgrow each other just because of life, circumstances, or just because it is what it is? Like, how do you define that? And what brought us back to this point? How would y'all figure that? Because it's 6 of us collectively. We established this in 1996.
True.
And this is the first time collectively that we've been in constant communication we've been in communication consistently for about 2 years now, because we had a thread. But did we outgrow each other? Were we just in different circles? Was it mindset? So how would we define this? Let's make this a little bit more personal and be realistic. Let's do some family couch time. Like, this is pillow talk according to PJ, and that's why they ain't on here, because this is therapeutic. Like, that's why they ain't on here. They be laying down with their feet up, talking to their wives.
Who gonna set it off? Go ahead, sir. Is he there?
I don't know.
My bad. I was drinking water.
I
don't think
he wouldn't have got a drink. He said, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna tell this answer drunk as hell.
Bub trying to make the shit heavy. I don't think it's a situation where we outgrew each other. I think we all grew and matured individually. I would say for me personally, I think the distance that I've had from Harrisburg over the last 17 years has made it feel like I've lost place with a lot of people. Like y'all specifically, conversations started to thin out. It would be check-ins here and there, but it wasn't consistent. I think that was on me. It was never me feeling like I outgrew anyone. It was just me at that point focusing on me and trying to figure out what I wanted from life. And that took a while. I think in that process, I just kind of shut down a little bit and just really turned focus on myself. But I don't think that's an outgrowing kind of thing. I think that was just me figuring out what I wanted out of life.
So to tie that in, that's your experience. So on the back end, why do you think that we were able to come full circle now within this last 2 years?
Yo, because Bub the dictator was like, yo, y'all doing this fucking podcast. We gonna do this podcast.
I was gonna say the same.
Everybody get microphones.
Bub his credit for
on
the
Thursday.
It's pretty much how it happened.
Dictator
Yeah.
Bub came in the picture and was like, "Yo, this is some bullshit. We've been friends forever." Nah,
He's like, yo, y'all think we could do a podcast? That's not really a question.
nah. I think in that moment it was a realization that there's 5 friends that I have that I haven't communicated with enough, and I want to get back in touch with those friends. And it wasn't a feeling of I've outgrown everyone. It was like, yo, I haven't chopped it up with them. It's always been like an occasion, like somebody's getting married, somebody's having a baby shower, somebody's having some kind of party or something, and you'll pop in town for that. But it's on a consistent basis of having conversations. It wasn't happening. So I think it was a dope opportunity. I think it was far too long between, but you know, I mean, it's a good thing that it's there. That's me. Go back to my drink.
Yeah, I knew he wasn't drinking no water. He was in there drinking apple cider and shit.
That's why his camera off.
Right.
Yo, it's on my side. It's just frozen.
What you saying, Steve? Go ahead.
No, I'm saying I agree with that. Like I remember that conversation with that thread. Like, yo, you think we could do this? And I'm like, I mean, I always go back to yes, we can, but we won't. Like, you know what I mean? Like I had no faith in us, and I'd be feeling like maybe I should have had more faith in us, but I just felt like our track record was like, yeah, sure, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna spend 3 months talking about how we can do it, and then we just gonna be like, yeah, we should have did that 2 years later.
Track record shit.
I mean, so
that track record shit.
So I mean, every week that we do this, I still am like, yo, damn, we really are doing this. So you know what I mean. But I don't think there was any. I don't think growth was the issue. I just think it was life. Like niggas is grown. Like y'all niggas been 40 for a while. Like I'm new to this 40.
Here you go, right, Bugs. Look, you know what I'm saying?
I ain't there yet.
Y'all been 40 for a while. So you know
y'all bobsledding down the hill.
Yeah, y'all up there. You know what I mean? So you know what I mean? Shit, life takes people places. Like you said, like we're doing this from 3 different states when all 6 of us is together. And
right.
Shit. And then if you think about it, just in little tiny ass Harrisburg, the 4 of us is here, we live in 3 different school districts? Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so, you know what I mean? So just shit's wild, yo. Like, and motherfuckers don't have the same time that we always had. But I do think whoever started, like, I used to hate group texts. Like, I swear I used to hate group texts because, like, I get so many goddamn notifications about nothing. But whoever started our thread, like, you know what I mean, props to them because that shit was needed. And you know what I mean? And it led to this. So, you know. But I don't really think that there was ever an actual growth issue. It was just life. Because I don't think there was ever a point where it wasn't hard, like, once we started doing it, it wasn't hard. Like anybody was like, nah, that's not really, I don't fit in the circle no more. So
right.
It was just where life had us. It wasn't a niggas is like better, thinking they better or anything else than the rest.
Yeah, I had everybody's number and always tried to keep a thumb on everybody. But then I was like, this is dumb. And I knew like,
because we all know that Bub moment. It's a teeth suck. Like, man, this is dumb. And then it goes from there. It's
that's
what
happened.
First.
Like I'm texting each one individually because I remember the conversation I had with Bugs and a shot specifically. I said, yo, is it cool if I put your number here so everybody can see it? Because PJ, Steve, me, and Eddie, like you said, we all live here, so we pretty much had each other's number. So I asked y'all, could I put your number and then we just do it that way? Both y'all get it, but I didn't ask you together, I asked you individually. You said, yeah. So we put it that way. And then we rolled ever since. And everybody was like, oh shit, like, you know, kind of roll with it. I never think that we outgrew each other. I think that like life happened. I think that the reason that I always thought that this would work is the same reason why I think it didn't work when we were older. Like everybody's personality and what they brought was so big and dynamic that it needed to grow before we'd be able to be where it's at now and draw that type of life experience into like this situation. And I thought like when the time, but it was about timing too, because the pandemic, I think that helped kickstart it as well, because everybody's in their house and going stir crazy too. Like, all right, just if they can make verses and people can make fans only, was like, look, we can just talk to each other and let people listen to our opinions, like invent on the thing and people will watch. And it worked. And I think that's what it goes. And
hold on, because you had to compare our text message with fans only.
Yeah, no, that's what people was doing. Fans. That's what people was doing on during the pandemic though. And when I mentioned that,
that's what they still do.
Like, right.
Go ahead. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
Nah, you straight.
He's a platinum member.
Is you a platinum member, bud? You got that off?
He's a platinum member. No, they still there. I just saw that post yesterday. They still there. They good.
Yeah.
So what about you, Bugs? Do you think we outgrew, and then what did you think brought us back full circle?
Not at all. I don't think we outgrew each other. I think it was life and distance. I think life, distance, and circumstances. Because, like I moved down here when I was 19. You know what I'm saying? I just upped and left. I told my mom, I'm not going to be here. This is that and the third. And I moved down here. I ain't had no spot. I actually ended up staying with a friend of mine that moved down here in his family for a minute. But I mean, I house jumped, my apartment jumped. I was bouncing from job to job. I just had life going on. You see what I'm saying? Like even my mom, it was like 2-year intervals or 1-year intervals, 2-year interval the first time. But then it was like once a year, twice a year. I try to get up there to see her, take my Christmas gifts, try to make sure I'm there for Christmas for the family and stuff like that. I just had life going on. And then the only thing I really regret is, committing to certain things with the crew and then not following through with it. And that was on me. You know what I'm saying? I take full responsibility for that. As I told all of you, you know what I'm saying? When the reconciliation took place. It's like, I understand, but at the same time, I had some things going on that was personal that I just wasn't sharing with nobody, but I should have known y'all would have understood and been there. You feel me? So, I mean, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it was never an outgrowth thing. Outgrow, because y'all my peoples, even when you get on my nerve. And that happens all the time. But if you're going to ask me what brought us back together, though, yeah, it was Bub. So we're going to give Bub his credit for bringing us together. Nah, I know. But we're going to give you the credit, though, while everybody's listening and say, yeah, Bub said, do y'all want to start a podcast? Do you think we could do a podcast? And we did a podcast, and the podcast is taking off. And we trying to be the number one podcast. So it is what it is. It's GQ, and you are now rocking with the Q.
You're funny, yo.
That was a hell of a first conversation, though. Like, for real. It was like you just catching up and jokes galore and laughing and shit and acting like asses, and was like, yeah, this can actually work.
Yeah. And it did. And it is.
And season 2, because like I said, collectively, I always knew that we could always do it. Like I said, but I just think like for us, it just is a matter of where we're at in life. And I think that, like you said, like it needed to, because our personalities are big personalities. No matter how your disposition comes off, I think the personality can still be bigger than what the disposition displays. Like a person can be laid back, but their personality can say a whole bunch more. I think when you put these 6 personalities together, there's nothing like it. And I'm not just saying that because it's my group of friends and family, but it's more about just knowing what these people are capable of. Because like everything that we do for this show is us. You know what I'm saying? Like the ideas is us. Like we got dudes that's rapping, making music from scratch, content, like jokes. Like we got our display, everything is all organically our ideas. Like it's a phenomenal group. On top of still being able to take care of our families, and just live our own lives. So it just always showed some of the potential that we really needed to get to.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, love the show or hate the show. It's Bub.
This was therapeutic.
Yeah.
I mean,
this is therapeutic. Good job,
well, cut it off. Like in real life, the and in real life, the two PJs really love each other. You know, they really don't fight over. That's all for the show. Like in real life,
Nah,
they really call each other Pierre and Edward. They don't even
Nah.
call since they ain't here to defend it. Since they ain't here to defend themselves, they go talk about them to the public. They really
Nah,
call each other Pierre and Edward. When they go live on the show, that's when they front.
No, because in real life, Eddie was mad as fuck the first time he saw the real PJ at the bowling alley. Yeah, he was mad as fuck.
Oh man,
yeah, he seen that shit on there and was like, "Yo, this nigga really did that."
Because that's really PJ, and like I said, and we just appreciate everybody's effort. Do we got another part to touch on this real quick though before we close?
No, it was just the I think the last thing we already hit on. It was how do you deal with it? So we already touched all that.
So how did we deal with it though? We just got in the group text 2 years ago, pre-pandemic, and just started going with it.
No, I think basically. I think when you feel like you're outgrowing your circle, it's a internal kind of conversation that you need to have with yourself and just figure out where you're at. And sometimes some people do outgrow that circle, but I think it's depending on what your circle started out as. Like, we've never had a negative connotation within our circle, which makes it easy to not outgrow it. So everybody's always been positive. Everybody's always been like about their families and taking care of business and uplifting each other. It's never been anything where we was like in the streets or doing idiotic stuff. Like, that's never been us. So there's not really an outgrowth kind of thing in that situation. Now, if we were corner boys and then, you know what I mean, somebody say, I don't want that life no more, that's different. But that, you know what I mean, it's that GQ meaning is pretty much where we've all stood. And I think that's what is kind of like held that together. So I think I'm not gonna say it's impossible for us to be, you know what I mean, to outgrow each other, but it's very damn difficult. It's very difficult.
I don't see it.
Somebody gotta hit like the low road. We'll be out here doing bank robberies and shit and pickup trucks with 16 wheels.
Hold up. Only one of us tries to pick up truck. And that person did jump out the truck in some ski mask one of our first meetings with his partner in crime. But you know, he ain't here right now.
Nah, can't defend himself.
Yeah, y'all funny.
I'm just saying.
I mean, for the record, it was cold outside. So he was dressed in all black. He was dressed in all black.
Like the Omen.
like the Omen.
So that's what we got for this week, man. Like, right? Is that all we got?
That's it.
Good.
I think
So for everybody watching, drop us some comments on the Facebook page or Instagram page. Let us know what you think about outgrowing friends. If you have thoughts about it, if you think you've outgrown friends, how did you deal with it? Let us know your thoughts on the topic. And then next week we jumping back into a full show because I got some things to talk about. Your uncle Bill got a new case coming up.
Oh shit.
Yes, sir.
Let the cause. No,
we talking about that next week.
Are you talking about the chick? Ain't that the same chick that stripped? I mean, took her top off and wrote whatever on top of her chest? Is that the same chick that sued him?
I don't know.
Yo, save it for next week.
I thought that was a young John.
I know that was a young John.
It's going down. She wasn't part of the first case, so she coming back for seconds. And then
It was
your Uncle Kel's catalog is somebody pissed off now because they should have bought that bitch.
Yeah, because everything spiked up for him, but
367%.
Yeah, that's bananas. Like, YouTube took his content down, though. I mean, his page. I'm sorry, his page.
That's cool. He's streaming like a motherfucker right now.
That's
Somebody
true.
wish they bought that. Nah, I don't know. He on there like, nah, I ain't selling it no more. We good.
No doubt.
But
I just want to say,
next time, people.
I just want to say it was good to see my man Books here because it's always good with his energy, vibe.
Appreciate it.
You know,
I'm glad to be back.
We're glad you're back too. So you got to take us out, Bubble Bath Books.
I appreciate it. Now, the only other thing I would say as far as the subject is concerned, is communication's key. Communication's key. Like if you feel you get to that point that the circle ain't the same, or you and somebody in the circle ain't the same, talk to that person before you talk to everybody else. You know what I mean? Let them know where you stand. Let them know where you feel they stand, so that maybe you can come to some common ground before you just up and separate yourself. Because with all things, like I said, communication is key. And all other places you could have been on a Friday night, you chose to be here with the Q. And we greatly appreciate you. Look forward to seeing you next week. Be safe, be happy, but most of all, be you. We out.
And if you ain't watched Dave Chappell's special, shut the hell up.